So this is going to be a little bit of a different video. I don't know if I actually have done this with you guys before, but I'm going to show you the process I go through when I at least rough clean up my finds and catalog them. And you know, I have to take pictures of them and whatnot for my records. Everything you're going to see today is from 2 days. Lots of good stuff. I got cannonballs, I got plates, I got bullets, I got all kinds of cool things. We're going to go through and kind of look at each one of them more or less. And some of the iron things I have, I'll show you that right here. Some of these iron things I have not identified yet. They're actually still encapsulated in the what we call a cocoon. I'll show you. Here's one here. Like, I have no idea what this is. It could be some grape shot from the Civil War. It could be a bunch of gold coins, but it's probably just iron since it is in a cocoon. And there's quite a few of those in there. And there's some that you can obviously tell what they are. That's a big old grape shot right there. Got a couple cannonballs. I got a cannonball here I'm going to show you, and that's already been drilled and flushed. This is kind of a really rare shell that I'm going to show you. You'll love that. I have a little box full of sinkers we're going to go through. There's some more Civil War stuff in there too. We're going to take all these sinkers out and we're going to cut the strings off of them and any hooks. And we're just going to throw these in a bucket. These are modern. There's no need to keep record of these. I'm just going to melt them down anyway, probably. Got some tomatoes. I have to keep tomatoes on the chair because the turtles, they come into my garden and they eat them. So when I say turtles, I mean box turtles, you know, terrapins. They take like a couple bites, 2 or 3, and then they leave. So I have to put them on the chair to ripen. And here are the bullets that I found in those 2 days and the 2 plates. And I'm going to tell you what this is in a minute. It's not gunpowder. It's actually pretty cool. All right, let me go ahead. I'm going to set the camera on the tripod and we'll get to work. Hang in there if you want to learn some stuff about relics, and especially about iron relics that are found in salt water. Because, you know, that big shell over there I have, that's going to have to be in electrolysis for a year. I'm going to have to treat that for a year or it will fall apart when it dries out. If I didn't have that in that wheelbarrow right now with water, it's been what, 2 or 3 days since I found them, some of that stuff would already be cracking and falling apart. It's a shame, but that's the way salt water is, so you have to spend a lot of time working on it. Everything in there is a lot of work. It took me 2 days to find it. It's going to take me days and days and days and days and days and days to preserve it. That's the key. All right, let's get to work. What do you say? So what I'm doing here is I'm just going through the box and I am separating the leaders and the other metals from the sinkers. Probably don't really need to do that, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to go through everything. These are all canister shot from the American Civil War. These would have probably been in a cannonball. These are lead. There's one iron one in here. This really should be in that salt water over there, but I thought they were lead, I guess, when they were wet. So I'm just going to keep going through here. I'm going to keep cutting this string off. And the fish hooks, I had one in my hand in the video that you have probably already seen by now, but you may not have. But you're going to if you watch my channel. Alright, so I'll go ahead and just go through this stuff. I'm putting it up on the table and then I'll show you what the next step is. And just to give you guys a reminder of what I'm doing here and what Steve and I were doing, is that we were exploring this old dock area. Now the dock that you see, or the piers that you see in the video, aren't that old. But underneath those are stumps of an older pier, and that's why we were there. This is a result of 2 days of searching that site and evaluating that site. I commingled everything because everything came from an area that was probably no bigger than about 200 feet long by maybe 100 feet out into the water. A little bit less than that, actually. So I felt confident and comfortable just commingling all the finds from those 2 days, even though we searched different parts of the site. First day was from the shore out to the end of the existing pier, or you know, the pylons, which aren't really that old. And the second day was from the pylons out into the river as far as we could go and still find stuff, which really wasn't that much further, although we did pretty well because that's probably where they threw stuff over the side at the very end. So come on over here, I'll show you what we have, and then we're going to get to the fun stuff in the wheelbarrow, those big globs of things that could be full of gold coins. That's what I'm hoping anyway. All right, come on. Okay, so let's go ahead and just whip through this stuff really fast because you've already seen it in the other videos. But what I have here is I have a list that I'm going to make of everything on the table, what it is, I'm going to identify it, how many I have, and I have calipers here. This is to measure the size of the different bullets, and I have big ones for the cannonball, so we can see if they're 58 caliber or 54 caliber. What caliber these are, you know, and we're going to go ahead and do that. Now the problem with this is, of course, is it's salt water, and salt water is very, very corrosive. So if you look at these mini balls, you'll see that they're almost dissolved away in places. That lead is in the waterway. That lead is floating around out there, you know, harming the wildlife and me if I were to swallow little particles of it. So I always take out the sinkers like this when I find the sinkers in the salt water, especially. You know, I was even finding wheel weights. This is a wheel weight off of a tire in a car. So this is clear proof that if you leave relics, historical items in salt water, many, many metals, including lead, will dissolve away to nothing. Give it another 100, 150 years, there may not be any bullets out there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and count everything up, measure them as best I can. Well, let me just show you a few things. These are lead weights. You can see they put 2 holes in them for fishing or nets. Of course, I already showed you these. These are lead weights for nets, net weights. 2 breastplates, okay? I got one that's actually really good shape, and you'd say, hey, Mr. Bo, you just went through that big, long spiel about how the saltwater dissolves stuff. Well, if you look at the back, you can see it's dissolving the lead on the back. Front looks pretty good, but this other breastplate or crossbelt plate that was right beside it within a foot, look what's happened to this one. This is actually all dissolving away the metal itself. So, and of course the lead on the back. I dug these with my fingers, no tools. I just scratched them out of the mud, so that's not damaged by me. A few other things. You know what this is? Within the video, this is a base, an underplug for a Borman fuse for a round cannonball. This actually goes underneath the fuse itself, and if you look in the center, that little hole is where the fire would go down into the shell to make it explode. And these 2 little holes on the side are for a wrench, so you can screw it in. You can see the threads here. These are probably case shot, which would have been in a cannonball. Could be canister, hard to say for sure, but I'll go ahead and measure them, and we'll keep, you know, of course, everything here is going to be kept together in one container. This is where some bullets have been dissolving in the water, and you can see that the stuff in the middle is actually lead that has co-joined with sand and silt, and it's made them stick together. You know, another 100, 200 years, these would be dissolved away to nothing too. This, I don't know what this is. If you guys know, let me know. Now, I'm going to take pictures of everything, and we'll leave that, of course, in with everything else. And same way with this, I'm not sure what that is. That could be old. It could be relatively new. I'm not sure. All right, exciting? I think so. Let's go ahead and get to the iron. That's going to be the fun stuff.